Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Critical Podcast. My name is Jimmy Good, and I am your host. And joining me this week, our go-to podcast compadre is Mr. Joe Lever.
Jimmy, good to see you.
Good to see you too, my friend. And Mr. Levi Fletcher. How you doing, pal?
Heyo.
Are you doing well? How you doing?
Okay.
Okay, we'll take it. Anyway, thank you, everybody, for joining us here again. We like to talk about movies, games, and TV shows. And today, it's National Video Game Day. There's a national day for everything. I don't know if I didn't know this the past couple of weeks have made it very apparent that there's just a day for everything, and I didn't really realize that there's Talk Like a Pirate Day in September or something. I kind of knew about that. I think National Cheese Pizza Day was my birthday, and I love cheese pizza. But we'll be talking about video games. But before we get to that, we have some crazy news. You maybe saw it by now, but it's Wednesday when we're reporting on this, and THR reports that Henry Cavill, everybody's favorite Superman, will no longer be Superman. Quite an interesting turn of events here. It seems like the DC ship sinks even further to the depths. And as you guys know here, we are fans of DC, not as much maybe some of us more so than others. And I kind of wanted to get you guys' take on this. Some of this news, kind of crazy, seems to be kind of circulating around. I will say this, though. I do want to report properly. Now, it sounds like this isn't completely official yet. His manager, Cavill's manager, said the cape is still in his closet, saying that it's not a done deal yet. But Warner Brothers says, while no decisions have been made regarding any upcoming Superman films, we've always had great respect for and a great relationship with Henry Cavill, and that remains unchanged. Levi, Superman, gone. What do you think?
Good riddance. I don't know how to feel. Why?
Well, that's the question. And we don't really know who would be to I don't want to say blame here because there could be a lot of different factors involved. One of those things might have been Mission Impossible Fallout and having kind of those issues, doing the Justice League thing and the mustache thing and all that stupid stuff. And maybe there was scheduling conflicts and the fact that he picked up the Witcher role and he was like, hey, you know what? I want to do Witcher. I don't want to do Superman anymore. And we're not saying it's an either or, but it could be. That's the interesting thing about all of this. So
I think this universe is a sinking ship, and it's going to smash into Aquaman on its way down to the depths. At this point, I don't even know what to say. I say, if it is true, and we don't have him back as Superman, don't recast him again, because that's ridiculous. Just carry on with Wonder Woman, a 2 and a 3,
sure,
if they're still good, and then I guess just call it a day, because you're not competing with Marvel anymore at this point. You're just floundering, honestly.
Yeah, it's weird because at this point, I wonder if anybody at WB had thought I wonder if they're if Wonder Woman would have done poorly, we wouldn't have this problem. They would have just said nope. And the issue too is that they were trying to get Henry to be in Shazam as a cameo as Superman, because I think that'd be kind of fun. You got this kind of young Billy Batson who gets Superman's powers almost, and then you have him cameo at the end or something. It could be really interesting. Joe, obviously you are the biggest Superman fan amongst us all. I don't know if you heard about this already today, but I really wanted to get your honest opinion about it and how are you feeling about it now?
Warner Bros. Latest and most up-to-date response or statement. While no decisions have been made regarding any upcoming Superman films, we've always had great respect for and a great relationship with Henry Cavill, and that remains unchanged. So apparently the role is Geralt on Netflix. The Witcher is the reason behind the WB meltdown, or people are saying, just due to all the hardships and the pain in the butt that they went through to deal with the mustache because he was in Mission Impossible. Apparently, being Geralt will require him to grow out his beard and his mustache and his hair and all that good stuff. So they're kind of looking at that do we really want to deal with all that again? And yeah, there was a cameo role in DC's upcoming Supergirl film he won't be able to do.
Okay, and that's the other thing that people are talking about too, is that they are trying, and I think there's even a script coming together for Supergirl. There might even be one at this point, and that is the next thing that they want to do. It's kind of interesting, not that the TV shows that DC have are connected at all to their DC worlds of DC or whatever, but they have that TV show, and they're still going to make this movie, and I wonder if a lot of it is because, Wonder Woman was such a success, and they want to just kind of say, hey, we want to make more like that where people respond really well to it. There's a female role, and we got to do something that Marvel isn't doing. Maybe that's the reason why. But how do you feel, man? I know you love Henry. You like, yeah, you love him, right?
I don't know. I mean, if I'm Henry Cavill and I'm looking at, okay, to keep the DC thing going, we need to get Superman and a Supergirl movie. We need to keep working on the DC stuff. I would throw Geralt role out the window, be like, sorry guys, bigger fish to fry. I don't know.
Well, the question is, does he see it that way? Because unfortunately, these movies haven't done super well, and maybe he wants to go and do something that he's really more passionate about, like The Witcher, which we talked about, in the last 2 weeks, that he's really passionate about, which will be 8 episodes. I looked it up. It's going to be 8 episodes long.
So maybe many series.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe that was the thought. He was like, I want to do this. And a lot of people are doing Netflix stuff, big movie stars, make that jump from like movies to doing like TV in a sense here. I don't know. I just thought that I was like, I wonder if Joe's going to be like, dang it. Like, curses. Like, you're going to curse the sky. Be like, why? Like,
hasn't Ben Affleck had troubles with this too? Like, he's had some runarounds too with Warner Brothers and DC.
Well, Ben was always kind of apathetic towards the role. It seemed like even in the very beginning, it was one of those things where he was like, yeah, I'm just doing this for my kids. And he's had some bouts with alcoholism or something else too. So he might never come back to us. So they might recast him. Kind of at this point, if you've lost Batman and you've lost Superman, and unfortunately, I feel bad because you have like Gal Gadot, who I think is great. You've got Jason Momoa, which people are somewhat kind of divided on, but kind of like him. Those two, I feel like, are the only things you've got going. Do you just like step back and be like, hey guys, let's wait 5 years. Let's get this all together. Find a Kevin Feige-esque type character, put this all in motion, and then just say, hey, all right, we're coming back. Here's our new universe. We rebooted the whole flipping thing, and we're going to try this again. Is that like the good move at this point? I don't know.
I think it could be. I mean, to recast both of them right now would be super awkward. To get another Justice League sequel with new, I just no. Yeah. Burn it down. Yeah. Burn it down to the ground.
Joe, do you think reboot, or do you think like just keep going, just try to find something that sticks, keep with what you have?
No, either you have Henry Cavill as Superman and Ben Affleck as Batman, or you don't have a DCEU. I mean, you screwed up first off. Why did you have to get Ben Affleck, who's a flaky piece of shit anyway? I mean,
Ben's watching, man.
He's in and out of rehab, for crying out loud, and he's clearly not like big into the frickin' role. So what's the frickin' point? I mean, what kind of guy was like, I think he'd be perfect. He'll get people in seats. I mean, really? I don't really. No, who gives a crap? Gal Gadot is known, but not that well known, and she turned Wonder Woman into a hit. I
like what's his name so much more as Batman.
Christian Bale.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have taken a lot of people and done it. It's just Ben Affleck, take him or leave him. But Cavill, I think, was pretty committed. But I think they're also squandering their time and for lack of a better term, pussyfooting around. I mean, they need to get on a schedule and get the shit done and plan it out. Because if I was Henry, I guess I wouldn't stick around either if they can't get their act together.
Yeah, with how shoehorned like everything was in Justice League, I can definitely see why people are dropping out.
Yeah, you recast those two roles and you've basically screwed up anything you had going. And you gotta just cut it cold turkey, and we'll start up again in 10 years, guys.
This honestly started with Suicide Squad being such a failure, honestly.
Well, the problem, it's interesting because you're right, Levi. It's kind of where the crack started to show, maybe more so. A lot of people were divided on Man of Steel. I thought I enjoyed it. I know a lot of people actually did like it, even if you were like an old school Superman fan. It was like, oh, this is kind of a newer, darker take on him, just even from, you know, a visual perspective. But when they got Ben, I remember, Joe, we talked about this a long time ago on the show, is that they courted him because during that time he was, you know, Oscar worthy. He was like a director, and they're like, oh man, we want to get this guy. He's going to be Batman. He's going to direct Batman. It's kind of a 2-for-1, and people are really going to respond to that. And then it was like, I don't want to be the director anymore. And then it's like, I don't want to be Batman anymore. It's like you can't, like, the two biggest things for that movie to happen, and it's just like, nah, it's gone. Yeah, Levi, you make
it. You know, you compare it to Robert Downey Jr.
Well, yeah, and
After
the thing is,
film 1 or film 2, and he's just like, you know what? I've had enough. It was fun, guys. We'll see you later. The whole MCU kind of shatters from there a little bit,
Sure.
or they create it without Iron Man anymore. He's no longer a part. But he's what started the success there. So
I wonder if Ben just needs a little bit of time in like the gutter, and then he can have like a Robert Downey Jr. story where he comes back in his redemption. Because for Robert, it was a lot like that. Like, he had been an actor before, but then he had some problems with drugs. People weren't going to take a chance on him, and then somebody, you know, Jon Favreau, took a chance, and Terrence Howard helped him get that chance to be Iron Man. And then it was like, from there, I think it was just a lot of that gratitude where he's like, I'm just going to be in this. I'm just going to play basically myself, you know, and just get paid insane amounts of money. My lawyers are going to make it, so I'm getting like percentages off of how well it does too, and making just like insane money. But people want to go see him because he's excited to be there and to be this character. Like, you don't want a sad Batman who's just like, my life's so bad and I'm so sad.
I haven't been a fan of, like, Batman vs Superman. I thought was really bad. I haven't been, honestly. I liked a lot of Justice League, actually, which is weird. But I liked Wonder Woman immensely. So it's just, I'm just in a weird place with this.
Sure.
Yeah, they had one hot hit, Wonder Woman. Everything else has been pretty, I would call it lukewarm. I think Justice League was kind of it was good. It wasn't without flaws, but it was worth the movie ticket, you know. But I thought Man of Steel was fine. I can watch Batman vs Superman and not roll my eyes, except for when Lois shows up,
or Jesse.
But other than that, I mean, I don't mind what they've done thus far.
You know what the biggest crime is? My boy. Oh my gosh, I'm getting attacked. My boy here, Deathstroke, Joe Manganiello. All right, you know, good on you, Joe. Poor guy. He's learning. He was like learning. He had like sword lessons, and he was like doing all this stuff to train for Deathstroke. They finally get like a sick, great looking Deathstroke. Barely gets a word in at the end of all this stuff, the Justice League stuff. And then they're like, hey man, you're gonna get your movie. You're gonna fight Batman. And I'm like, oh my god, Batman versus Deathstroke in a film. Finally, we're gonna get this. Like, Deathstroke's gonna get his chance in the spotlight. Nope, because he has to share screen time with freaking the worst Lex Luthor ever. Yes, the worst one ever. Any Lex Luthor you can think of, it's nope. Jesse Eisenberg is the worst.
You're saying that like the other ones were bad too.
No, right? Michael Rosenbaum was awesome.
Well, Michael Rosenbaum is like the pinnacle, but there's some in the middle. You know what I'm saying? There's some in the middle, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Anyway,
so wait, so that he's not doing it anymore?
I don't. That whole thing has been like, it sounds like it's indefinitely postponed. The last we'd heard about Batman as a director was it Chris Reeves, the guy who directed like Rise of the Planet of the Apes? One of the Apes movies was going to do it, which I thought was a good choice because that kind of fit the mold for what DC's going for.
Why put him at the end of the film if you're not going to continue with it?
Well, they were going to make him be like the primary antagonist for the Batman standalone film, but I don't know if they're going to do that at all now. Why would they? It sounds like they're just going to reboot.
Maybe when Ben gets out of rehab, he'll, like you said, I mean, maybe that could be the movie that turns it around.
It'll be like, damn, rehab is expensive. I need to go back to Batman, make some money.
I have not researched and seen if Ben is in or is not in rehab right now.
They had mentioned in that thing I was reading that, and with Ben Affleck and his hot and cold on Batman and his stints in rehab, yada yada.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know that he is. I mean, I was a little harsh on the whole guy. I thought he played a good Batman. I really did. I thought, between any of the films he was in, BVS and Justice League, I think he did well. He plays the character how you expect him to be. Yeah, he exudes the Batman qualities, I would guess. So it's just, if you ruin this thing that they're trying to build, it just, I don't know, sparks some bad emotions,
Speaking of sparking bad emotions, Joe, that was perfect. Thank you so much. There is a rumor circling around that for recasting potentially, and say about this what you will, and I'm only just saying it because it's the only name I've seen pop up. Michael B. Jordan, the guy who was recast for like Human Torch. He also played Killmonger in Black Panther as a potential replacement for Superman.
Oh. I wouldn't. But
What?
I know. That's the problem. Because it's not easy for like it to be like, all right, we're three like white guys from the Midwest to be like commenting on being like, well, if they made Superman into a black version, and there are other versions. There's one I looked up that was like, was it Volzad, or there's like Earth 2 has a black Superman. If you're gonna do this, fine, but do like a Flashpoint paradox and just change everybody. Change everybody. Make it Thomas Wayne as the new Batman who uses guns. You want your Batman to use guns? Make it the version that was like in Flashpoint that was Bruce's dad. Bruce died, his dad was alive and uses guns. Do that. Like,
Bruce's dad was alive?
There's in Flashpoint Paradox, basically a bunch of stuff changed, and that night when Bruce went into the alleyway with his parents, Bruce as a little boy got shot, but his parents did not. His mom kind of becomes the Joker, and his dad becomes Batman, and he uses guns, but he's still like all Batman, but he's got like red eyes and stuff, and he just kills people. Like he's
That's
like,
crazy.
It's really cool actually. He's just like, I am not gonna take prisoners. He's like, you killed my little boy. Super good. But yeah, Michael B. Jordan.
Why don't they just have like Tom Wellington do it? Or what's his name? Tom Welling?
Dude, it would be so great right now if they just were like pulled in all the Smallville people. Just I
love
funny?
Smallville.
If you did that, you would probably make money. Like people. I mean, let's face it, Smallville was successful.
For sure.
I mean, it went for 10 seasons and probably could have gotten one more, but last season was rushed. Anywho,
Dark Side, the Cloud.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it was all fine. It was quick steps, and it just didn't all jive that well. But 10 seasons successful, has a hell of a fan base. I mean, they spun it into a continuation story, a big comic book series called Smallville. I mean, it is what it is. And still a great following. That show, Tom Welling, Michael Rosenbaum, they recently kind of rekindled their friendship and have been hanging out more. And if you don't listen to Michael Rosenbaum's podcast, Inside of You, you should. It's obviously people listening are fans of them. So if you're looking for more content between our stuff, it's a good one. It's cool because if you're into shows like that, he interviews like Danielle Panabaker from The Flash, Tom Welling from Smallville, a bunch of people, Justin Hartley from Smallville. But it's interesting because they talk about their time on Smallville and all that and whatnot. But it's cool to hear those behind the scenes. But yeah, so recently they've been touring and doing these like Comic-Con events or those sorts of things, and it's just these two up on stage for Smallville caster discussion, and they packed out an auditorium full of people, like well over 1,000. Like there are a lot of people in that auditorium, and it's just these guys talking about that, answering questions. And I think this far down the road since that show has been done, I think 2011.
Maybe, yeah.
13? 2011 or 13 it ended. And they're still able to do that just for those two guys. I mean, I think it shows they're pretty well respected and loved as those characters. And I think if you did that and pulled them into the DCEU, I think people would go just because of that fact. Like, it's them. Oh, my gosh. I don't know. It would be a bad move as far as creating this building block and story, but I think if you wanted a quick cash grab, it wouldn't be the worst thing.
That's what they're doing. I think WB's doing it. I say just reboot it and just say you go from the very last shot in Smallville, and that is the beginning of your Superman movie, and then
I'd
you
be so
just
down.
go from there. Like,
Dude, you could. That would be fun.
I think it'd be so, like, just reboot your whole thing and just start with that. Find the guys who played Cyborg. You get Hartley back for Arrow in the movie universe. You get the guy who played Flash. You get the guy who played Aquaman. Like, you could still do it, or you could keep Jason if you want. Keep Gal Gadot. She's great. But just, like, go from there. Because you're right. Like, the last thing, like, their TV stuff's really good. Do you think maybe it would just be better if they tried to make a Superman TV show? We've seen the Superman TV shows, but, like,
Supergirl, I can't stand the watch, man. I can't even stand to watch it. And the Superman
Is Arrow the same guy from Smallville?
No, it's different. So this guy is named Stephen Amell, and did you say Hartley? Justin Hartley? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it was in Smallville.
Yeah, very different. Also, just like different looking dudes. Like Hartley's a very, like, at least in that show, is very like a model. Like just like very just like clean shaven. Whereas like Stephen Amell's like just ripped, just beard, just pissed, and just you have failed the city. You failed the city. We failed the city. But she's great. I give
enough about your damn city.
kudos to DC on the TV front, because they somehow make those 4 shows mixed together every year for a big crossover event, which is just a cluster. But I absolutely adore it, because it's like, you know what? At least these guys got it together. Because then I look at the movies and I'm like, they do this, and it's like a 2-hour movie, 2.5-hour movie. These guys are doing it for 20 plus hours every year, and they're making it work. What's happening? Like, it's like, is it low stakes? Because Flash doesn't seem low stakes. Like, just kills me. But anyway, DC, there you go. You're welcome. We figured it out. Get yourself a Kevin Feige and just reboot from the Smallville. Just start right from there. Just, Lex is back. He's alive. Let's go. Let's go. Like, I've done it. We've done it. You're welcome. Cast Michael B. Jordan if you want to. I don't know. Like, he's a good actor. That's my problem.
I like the guy. I liked him as Killmonger. He does
super good.
I just don't no, that whole Earth 2 deal, like, I mean, it would feel odd to you and disconnected, even if you knew it was Earth 2. I mean, yeah, but this is Earth 2, so it's okay. No, it's like, I want our Earth Superman, what we know is Superman,
Sure.
It's just
and they probably wouldn't do that. I'm guessing they would take him, or that might be an explanation, is someone could open a portal and he could come through, or whatever, like just make it not. I just feel like it's going to be so strange. It would just be weird.
Maybe just stop the movies altogether and just really put your budget into like, well, hold on. I didn't mean that to be a troll.
I love it so much.
Maybe stop your movies altogether and just focus on like really, really, really good Netflix content.
Sure. Well, Disney leaving, it would be kind of cool. Oh, sorry. They're doing their own DC thing. Remember, they've got their own streaming service, so that's what they're doing with Titans. Remember the whole like F Batman and stuff like that. And,
no, what are you talking about?
The Teen Titans is getting like a gritty TV show for the DC streaming
Oh God,
service.
yeah. Where is this streaming service going to be on?
It's just their own streaming service. Like you can.
It's for the low monthly payment of $29.99.
That's not confirmed.
Watch one show.
No, they've got. The thing is, it's cool because like if they do put Smallville on there, they put all the old Batman, shows on there. They put all the cartoons on there. Then there's a package. Then there's the deal. And because Marvel is owned by Disney, I'm sure Marvel would have considered this had they not been owned by Disney, but Disney's like, yeah, we already have that service. It's called Disney Play or Disflix. Disney, you can still change it. I still think you could do it.
What's the possibility Marvel ever just like becomes like Walmart and just absorbs DC and then produces DC content?
Is that like a Walmart thing to do? Does Walmart like absorb things?
Walmart starts in all these small towns and they kill all the mom and pop shops.
Okay, sure.
And they just take over.
There have been rumors and talks of that in the past where it's gotten to a point that if Disney could eventually, and this might be the next crazy thing, like them buying Fox obviously is like the most insane thing they've done. If Disney got the money together and WB wasn't seeing a return that was good enough, there's the potential that Marvel and DC could be owned by the same group, and then we'd start getting those crossover films. Like we'd start seeing them because it's happened in the comics plenty of times where they fought each other. So
I would love a freaking Batman or Superman Marvel movie.
Exactly. If Marvel Studios could do that, like think of if Marvel Studios could make those films. Like how sick would the Batman movie be? It would be so good. Like, look at Black Panther. It would be like Black Panther. Like, like Gotham would look fabulous. Like, oh my God. And then people would stop having to worry about if Batman would show up in Avengers because I'd be like, well, actually, he could now. Like in the past, when people asked, like, in Infinity War, they were fighting Thanos, and I didn't see Superman show up, and I was like, well, I understand you don't really read comics or maybe get into that stuff, but Superman's in a different. He's on a different continent. All right, he can't be there right now.
That's what Haley was wondering when we saw that movie.
Yeah, well, because like you don't
the whole time she was waiting for Batman, Superman to show up. She's
they're not in the same universe, right?
Yeah, they're not. No, that's the problem. Is that like
have there been crossovers before where Batman has really?
Yes, there's some really cool ones where it's like Avengers versus the Justice League and stuff like that, where it's kind of funny because you start to compare. It's like when they have like Avengers versus X-Men, you're like, okay, like some of those guys do pretty well, but then you compare it like Justice League versus Avengers. The Justice League, everyone on that team almost can like fly and have super strength, which is already really cheap. It's like every one of us could do that, and like on the Avengers, it's like 2 of us could do that. It's like okay.
That's phase 5. Justice League versus the Avengers.
The Avengers without the Hulk could be like.
Yeah, you need Scarlet Witch or Doctor Strange on your team to just be like the cheap magic user to be like, well, I guess this never happened, like that, like that you need it. But yeah, it would be kind of cool. Maybe one day we'll see that. I would just love it if just the next headline after Disney does all the Fox stuff is like Disney's taking a couple billion more and they're running over to WB and they're like, hey, how about that Batman and Superman, huh? Can we just buy Batman off you? Like, I don't think you could just take the one, but oh god, whoo boy, that'd piss people off.
Who's gonna play him when they get him? Henry, come on over.
Oh yeah, people were joking that he was a spy for Marvel the whole time, and that the whole mustache thing was like the first, like he was trying to like secretly degrade the movie from within with the whole like I'm not gonna shave it because Marvel had like put him there as like a sleeper agent at the very beginning, like to be like, all right, we're gonna make this universe crumble, okay, Henry, and you're gonna be at the epicenter of it.
God, you gotta think they can make fake mustaches that look legit.
They could have done that, but Paramount said that he signed a contract and he physically couldn't shave it because he was under contract, and that would be a breach of contract, which is insane. Like, did they insure the mustache? Like, you know what I'm thinking? Like, oh boy. But yeah, and plus, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Joe, when he said the whole Geralt thing with the beard, I feel like there was a few of those designers, those people who had to do that, the digital editors who were just sweating bullets, and they're like, he's gonna be who? And they're like, show a picture. And they're like, if the internet found out who we were, they'd kill us. We can't. It's not going to happen. We don't have enough time in the world. There's not even 1,000 years that can make this look good. And they're probably like, whoo, yeah, he's gone. Thank goodness. Michael, will you shave off that mustache? Thank you. But yeah, interesting news. Obviously, that's the biggest newsworthy thing to talk about this week. I don't know. It just is another kind of head-shaking, kind of sad thing because I liked Henry as Superman. I wanted to see what he could do with it, and I never felt like he got enough time with the role. So here's hoping that we get it back, and maybe he'll still be in there. I don't know. There's so many things coming out of DC right now. Hopefully Aquaman will be good, and hopefully Wonder Woman 2 will still see the light of day. Levi, any closing thoughts on Superman before we move on here?
Boo.
Okay, perfect. And Joe, how about you?
I'll miss it.
We love you, Superman. Maybe the thought is they have Shazam coming. It's not the same, but he's got like the same moveset. Almost. I know it's a little different, guys. I know, but just saying. Anyway.
I don't care.
I don't care anymore. I don't like DC big memes. Henry, how dare you? No. And obviously we'll know more about this. We'll report more on this when we find out. It's just an interesting story to follow, this whole DC thing. Since we started this show, I don't know if there's ever been a time. I think the first episode we ever did was Batman vs. Superman, maybe. I think that's the very first one we shot. And since then, it's just been oh my God, just a roller coaster. Anyway, I want to talk about video games today because like I said at the top of the show, it's National Video Game Day today when we are recording this, which is Wednesday. And I've been playing some amazing games, and I do want to talk about them a little bit. Unfortunately, I've been a little under the weather, so I haven't been able to get my review and progresses up, but those should be up soon. And the games are both pretty lengthy, especially the first one I'm going to talk about. But I wanted to talk to you guys about DragonQuest XI and Spider-Man, both on PlayStation 4, both exclusives, both in the same week. Because why not? Why wouldn't they both be in the same freaking week? which is totally fine. It's fine with me. But anyway, Dragon Quest XI. I know you guys have heard me talk a little bit about Dragon Quest VIII in the past, and I touched on this last week. But Levi, you know a little bit about this series, just a smidge. I don't know if you've dabbled in it. I forget if you have or not.
Only Dragon Quest Builders.
Oh, yes, because I limited you. So, what did you think of that? Like, at least the Dragon Ball Z art style. Did you get the warm, cozy vibes?
Yeah, I'm down for it. I think it's cool. I saw a comment about the music being kind of unlistenable, and I kind of understand that because I remember Dragon Quest Builders being kind of annoying with the sound, at least.
Well, unfortunately, at least in Dragon Quest XI, like in Dragon Quest VIII, they had like an orchestral score, so it sounded really, really good, and it sounded like a beautiful booming orchestra when you were doing anything. And this one, it sounds a little more hollow, like it's not the same. I don't know, and maybe Builders was the same way. I can't recall if it was or not. But some people really like the song, like the theme song. Some people really like the little noises that everything makes when you touch things or damage things or whatever. Some people hate that stuff. So like, if you hate that, obviously in an RPG, it's going to be like 100 hours. It's going to be like, it's going to wear on you, obviously. Yeah, I've been playing through Dragon Quest XI, and it's a really great game. I'm like maybe 12 hours in or so of like a 100-hour game, so that's why these things take time. And Spider-Man came out, so that happened too. But this game is really, that word I was saying, jolly and cozy, warm, that feeling there, that kind of pure RPG, kind of get your party together, go out there to stop evil. That's like the main storyline, which unfortunately is a little dated. It's kind of just like, you are the chosen one and you must defeat the evil. And it's like, okay, like, how many times have we done that? And I guess it seems a little nostalgic, at least in this day and age, to have that, because we have more games like The Witcher where it's like, you're not necessarily the savior. You're just trying to find like your daughter, your adopted daughter. So yeah, but I just want to talk about it just a little bit. The combat in this game, which is one of the primary things you're going to do, hasn't really changed too much. Still that turnstile based combat. You can like run around in like a circle while you're fighting, and I don't know if positioning really matters at all because you can just like move people around. And I thought when I got my rogue, because I have like a rogue on the team, I was like, oh, maybe I'll have like a backstab, like, because in even World of Warcraft, Levi, I'm sure like a backstab only works if you're right behind them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that mechanic, I think they just threw that in there to have you be able to do something, because there's like a free battle mode, and then there's like a classic battle mode where you're just everybody standing in a line and just kind of jumping and attacking. But pretty, straightforward. I have like a dedicated heal on the team, which is got a mage, and you're just fighting these cool monsters, these guys that have like these really, animated features. Some monsters I've seen in the past, like the classic slime, looks like a little raindrop with a big smiley face. And then some new ones, these like crazy guys with these big drums that like, buff other people, and the drum has a face and a big crazy mouth. And yeah, it's just been fun. The game looks really, really cool. The thing that I have an issue with is that it looks kind of photorealistic, maybe not completely, but it looks more so than it has in the past as far as landscapes and buildings, but your characters look like they're straight out of a cartoon. I don't know if that would bother you guys at all. Like for me, it bothers me just a little bit, where it's like,
it's a little jarring.
Just a little, but like the environments themselves look great, and the monsters are roaming around out there, so no more like random battles, which I absolutely hate.
I was going to ask you, what's the loading screens like?
So that is a really good question. So like they don't have the random battles anymore, but they do have loading screens, and I ran into another problem once too. So the loading times can be a little annoying when you're going from one big place to the next, but if you go into a town and you try to run through the town, if you get to like far enough into it, it will stop your character will stop moving, and it'll just say loading for a second. And it's like,
oh no.
Oh, so it's disheartening because, you see all these other games that are going like insane with how they function and all these features, and they don't have these types of loading times. And to see that in a game that has also been out for a year is like, it is a little depressing. So I don't know if it's just one of those things people are just okay with. It is bothersome to me to some degree. And there have been a lot of times where I'm just transitioning from like a house to the overworld or something like that, where you're just moving from one area to the next into like a building, and then it's just like loading. And it's just like, and there's this really long bar, and it will like slowly fill to 50% and then go to the rest of it. And it's like, I don't know if on PS4 Pro if it'd be better, but I think I've heard the same complaints over on the PS4 Pro. But besides that, it's still a really fun game, and it's very I don't want to say it's simple because right now in the beginning it feels that way. The first, like Dragon Quest VIII for me was much more difficult. It was so hard in the beginning when you don't have a dedicated healer on the team because you're taking damage and you're like trying to just scavenge for resources to survive. But this one feels a lot more forgiving. You don't have to grind as much, it doesn't seem like, because in the last game you definitely did, especially if you want to do like the end game stuff. Up to this point, I've just kind of been picking and choosing my battles. The monsters kind of spawn infinitely, but you see them in the field, and you can outrun them. You can surprise attack them and do some damage to them. And the quickness of the fights is great. Like, you can get in and out of a fight in like 20 seconds. Because a lot of these old games, like the old school game, you're like, oh god, it's like when going into like the fight, you know, and then you're like, oh.
Dragoon.
Yeah,
like for 2 minutes. Yeah.
And its game is way more about exploration, which I really love because you can see the monsters on the map, but you're not worried about like running 5 feet this way. Because in older games, you do that and you get in a fight, and then you get in another fight. This one's like, hey, go look over there. Hey, there's a treasure chest, or there's a sparkly spot, and you found like a little, you know, ingredient or whatever. Another cool thing is that if you beat certain monsters that are sparkly, you can get their mounts or whatever they were riding, and then you can use that to go around a dungeon. So like if you kill a guy who's like on a skeletal like demon thing, you can kill that guy, and then you could ride his little skeletal thing, and you can like knock other monsters off out of the way, or you can get this other like little robot suit that can like you can hop up really high up to like other higher places. And they're just cool little wrinkles like that, along with just a jump button, because they did not have that in the older games. You could just jump around. So exploration is a way bigger factor in this game. And unfortunately, it feels like this step should have been taken in Dragon Quest IX, but it's in 12 because 9 was like a DS game and then 10 was like an MMO. So it's like one of those, or I should say it's an 11. And it's like one of those things that I wish they would have just kept making this style of games to, because I look at this versus like a Breath of the Wild, very different games, obviously, but it would kind of be nice to have like some better traversal mechanics because they seem very shallow. Like it's just very like, oh, just hit circle to jump up this ledge, just like that, or climb a vine, the only vine, climb that vine. Like it's fine. I just would love to have more of a fleshed out world. You know what I'm saying? Like It's good, but it could be better. But besides that, it's a really fun game. The combat is fun. It's really quick, responsive. The characters themselves are interesting, and I'm starting to learn more about them. Of course, you play as a mute protagonist that I've had 2 people say they thought was a woman. Not a woman, it's a guy. It's very strange.
Always JRPGs.
Yeah, they just love to do that. And it would be kind of nice if it was mute, if you got to customize your look. If you pre-ordered it, you can make yourself look like the hero from Dragon Quest VIII, which is like kind of fun. But besides that, you just kind of like have this look. Even if you equip different armor, it doesn't look any different unless you equip specific armor.
Yeah, I feel like your dude kind of looks like Trunks in a way.
Sure.
He's definitely got a very big Trunks vibe.
Sure. Oh, for sure. The purple. It's the purple.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't want to like trash on the game because I really do enjoy it. It's just that like it's been difficult to like kind of get to it because a lot of the game, like Persona 5, is a lot of like pressing X because there's like a lot of people talking, and the voice acting is pretty good. The English voice acting. There's a lot of like British voices because that's what Dragon Quest does. It'll just be like, "Oh, cool, blimey!" Like they kind of say that kind of thing a lot. And it's charming. It's a wonderful, warm game that you can just snuggle into and kind of just envelop yourself in, but you have to commit to it. It's not one of those games you just pop on for 45 minutes. It's like you got to get in there for like 4 hours and be like, okay, we're going to do this thing. We're going to go after this boss and stuff. Last thing I do want to kind of touch on here are the pep powers, like your special power-ups that happen kind of randomly. So basically, randomly throughout battles and stuff, your characters will just basically go into like that Super Saiyan-ish type mode. So they'll just be like kind of blue and stuff. They'll do more damage. All their base stats go up. But they get access to their pep abilities. And if there are other teammates on your team who are pepped up as well, then you get to use special kind of in conjunction abilities. And the one that I was using a lot was called Scorching Earth, where our 2 primary heroes that you get right at the beginning, both are pepped up. And they put the sigil on the ground that shoots up like a fiery spire every turn for like 3 or 4 turns on an enemy every time they make a move. So it'd do like 35 damage, which was a lot in the beginning of the game here, to every enemy that would try to make a move. Wow. And it was really nice because like my hero is more fire based and the rogue guy was more earth based, and it's kind of like combining their powers. And then I finally got like 4 people on the team, and we had 3 of us pepped up. It was the rogue, my hero, and this other healer. And basically it was called like the wild side. And it's this really weird like cutscene. It was like a summon from Final Fantasy. So like all of us did like cha cha, and then the hero and this healer were like standing on the ground. It was nighttime. there's a big moon up in front of like a mountain, and so like they both kind of step forward, and they both kind of like scared looks on their faces because the rogue was on top of the mountain and he was like screaming in like pain or something, and then his eyes went all red, and they're like, oh, like they did this to him, and then basically it just allowed him to take 2 turns every turn, so he got to do 2 things every turn. Was like the big thing that he got to do. But it's this whole like little cutscene about how he transforms but doesn't transform. I loved it because it's the looks on their faces like oh my god, what have we done to him? So good. But stuff like that, and that's what gets me to keep getting invested in this game, because the characters are great, and I love to see how they interact on and off the battlefield, because that's why you stay with these RPGs so long. You fall in love with these characters, and you want to follow them for 100 hours, because that's what you do. But yeah, do you guys have any questions about Dragon Quest besides the one you kind of talked about loading stuff there, Levi?
No, I mean, it sounds like your average JRPG. So
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, and I don't want to say it's average. I want to say it's like the shining example of what a classic JRPG can be, with some more modern conveniences. Another one of those is like you have a run button. You also get a horse right away, stuff like that, where it's just like, or an auto run, and you can just run. The map, one of my favorite things is like it pulls up on half the screen, and it shows your little marker, and wherever you start to look in the overworld, it will change the map. So it'll show you. So you're like, oh, I want to go to this point over here, and you kind of like turn, and then when you put the map down, you're like, oh, I'm pointed in that direction. And then you can just run over there. I was like, oh, that's really fun. Cool. It's a good map idea. And obviously the art style, preeminent throughout the whole thing. They've got 3D models of all the monsters and the characters, and you can look at everything, and it's so nice. I just love doing that. I don't think they have it for the weapons, but I just love to see these guys and just like turn around, just look at these really cool models, and they have these little kind of bios of all the monsters, and that is what I'm really into, because it's like Pokemon if you had to go fight a bunch of Pokemon. That's how like varied all of these creepy monsters are and funny monsters are in Dragon Quest. So yeah, but I'm hoping to get more time into that now that Spider-Man, I'm kind of wrapping up on it for the most part. But yeah, Dragon Quest XI. Joe, I know you're just a super big Dragon Quest fan. Love it so much. Did you catch any of the stuff? Like, have you seen enough of it to have an opinion yourself from someone on the outside looking in?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it for a cartoony vibe, it looks pretty. The environments, I think, is a standout of the game, but beyond that, turnstile, I don't know. You know, it sounds like the Pokemon Game Boy game.
Yeah, I mean,
patience for that anymore.
Just like I don't have the patience. I'm out of here. I don't like it. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like it just because comparatively to all the other games we play, for the most part, it's kind of nice to be able to think about my strategy for a second, and that's kind of like with Dragon Age Origins too. You kind of pause the battle and look around it. But I could see where it's like you want it to be a little more active, and they do have a version of it called Dragon Quest Heroes. I just had to look at it right here, but it's basically like the Dynasty Warriors game where it's like 1,000 monsters come at you and you have like a sword and you're just attacking in real time, so you're just cutting through swaths of them. So maybe that would be more of it's more of like an action game, more so. But
yeah, I mean, the closest I get to a game of that style is The Witcher, which it took me, you know, that's been out for what, 3 years, 4 years, so it took me this long to even try that. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of if I'm gonna get to that side of game style, that's about as close as I get, I guess. So
fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Levi, how about you, man? I know you kind of expressed an interest potentially in it, maybe coming to Switch.
For Dragon Quest? Yeah, I think I'd pick it up, but I'm nervous. I mean, if you are having loading screen problems on the PS4, then the Switch is going to be like, eh.
I don't want to say they're problems. I say they crop up every once in a while. It's not constant. It's not like every 10 feet there's a loading screen. It's just that the environments that you go into are pretty large and pretty detailed, and that's the problem, I think.
I'm hoping they wouldn't have to, lose a lot of quality for the port. So,
yeah, I hope they wouldn't either. Plus, I wonder if in docked if it would be better. But yeah, I would recommend, if you like old school JRPGs, if you like the look of this, if you like Dragon Quest VIII, it's like Dragon Quest VIII, but better as far as the overall, just kind of the updates to it. Like I'm talking about, like giving you the horse right away, giving you a run, the map and everything. It just seems like it's a little faster paced to you than Dragon Quest VIII was. but I do miss things kind of like the orchestral score, and I'm still waiting to see if all the characters really grab me the same way that Dragon Quest VIII did, because you only had the 4 like main characters in your party. This game, I think you get 6. You have to pick and choose, so it'll be hard. It's always hard to choose in a game for me like that. It's like, hey, there's all these cool people. Which ones do you want? And once I get that old man on the team, I'm gonna make him into a god. I'm gonna turn him into death, and I can't wait for it. They also have skill trees, kind of like Final Fantasy X Chronosphere thing, where you kind of like, hey, you have these like 3 things that are attached in the middle, and you have to kind of pick and like build up. If you want this thing over like up at the top left, you have to build to it eventually. So you kind of have to pick and choose which weapons and things you want to specialize in. So there's still some of that in this game if you want to have that kind of customization to your character as well, which is great. And at least you know what you're getting this time, as opposed to 8, where you just kind of put points into swords and you hope for the best. You know, like, oh, cool, maybe I'll get a new ability. Levi, I think you dig it. I think you'd like it. I think it would be good.
Yeah, I'm almost debating on like picking it up for Steam.
Yeah, maybe on computer it might even be. I don't know how it on the port it is, or I don't know on PC how it is. So I would love to hear if it runs really well in there, because I don't think it'd be hyper demanding by any stretch. You know, hopefully it wouldn't have too many loading times. But it's just a game, and it's also one of those games that can be a little mindless when you're just fighting, because you just kind of get into that, you know, that mode where you're like, yep, I can just kind of listen to this and play this, you know, at the same time. That's what I've been working on with that. But I also, and just today, I just wrapped up the main campaign, Spider-Man. I want to talk about it because you guys, I know we're kind of, you know, we're Spider-Man fans. I'm obviously, I don't want to say I'm the biggest one of the group, but I might be. I was thinking about this today because I have like 2 Spider-Man things you guys can't see. They're out of the frame, they're out of the shot. But and I guess the third one over there. I love Spider-Man, and especially Spider-Man 2, and a lot of people talk about that game. And I like thinking of that game as a time before everyone was talking about games. I played Spider-Man 2 back on the GameCube, I believe it was. I want to say it was that. I think it was that. And I loved that game. A lot of it just had to be, you know, just boiled down to swinging. Like, I loved swinging around in that game. I know it sounds dumb, but it was done so freaking well that, like, when you did it, you just felt so good. And you got Tobey Maguire just talking the whole time. You got, why can't his name? Asterisk, the Evil Dead. Bruce Campbell, who's in those movies. He's like the narrator for the game, and he's like giving you tool tips and stuff like this, little tutorials. So great. You run in.
Really, Tobey Maguire?
I believe it was. They got him to do that. Like, sometimes they get people to do movie games, and I remember too, like, delivering pizzas, and they'd play that music, that da 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 da, and that would pick up as your time counted down, but da 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 da, and you're like, I gotta get this pizza. And I loved it. I also remember not being smart enough to, like, I would dodge Doc Ock in that game because Doc Ock was the main villain. He would attack, and you could dodge, and then you like kind of follow up attack him. I didn't know you could dodge and web him to like web up his arms to keep them from like coming to attack you again. So a lot of my boss fights are not probably the best looking boss fights. Anyway, Spider-Man 2, great game. That's the one that was kind of the gold standard before now. And I'm so happy to talk about this. And I'm sure in the review in progress, in the final review, I will say this again and again. Spider-Man on PS4 is the best Spider-Man game there's ever been. There's not even a question. The swinging in this game alone is so good. I was just swinging around doing nothing, just swinging. Felt great. They've added so many little things. You know, we're talking about Dragon Quest, like kind of updating some of the things to make them a little bit better for the modern day. One of my favorite things in this game, and it's just these small little bits. You're running straight up a building, all right, with Spider-Man. You hit X near the top. He will jump. He will web on the corner and like throw himself over, and so you can keep the momentum. Little things like that. Or when he goes around a corner of a building, if you want to stick to it, he'll shoot out a web and he'll go around. It's so nice. And once you get used to that, and this other thing where you hit L2 and R2 at the same time, you perch on things. So you can kind of like look around the world, and there's like a little white symbol, like a circle that pops up. You can go perch to like certain points, like on buildings and things like that. If you get that down with the timing, when you're flying through the air and you perch on something, you hit X right when you hit it. When you upgrade this ability, you'll do like a front flip off of it with a ton of speed and just boom, just go flying. You basically just like catapult yourself. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I love it so much. I will say this though. if you like the Arkham games, you're gonna love this game because it is so much like those Arkham games. It's almost crazy. I wouldn't say it's almost criminal. It's just very. It's like they've got the fighting, which is very similar. And they also have like the Predator takedown stuff. I will say this: I think Spider-Man is much better suited for both these things than Batman. I know some people will be like, how is he a better Predator than Batman? Well, Spidey's so fast. And he like picks people up and webs them to stuff. Like that's one of my favorite things to do. Is like you're standing on top of a light post, you see a guy, you pull him up, you can like knock him out and like go and web him to him, or you like put a ton of webs on him and then you kind of like wrap him up next to the thing, and you're like, yeah, I got him. Like, but the fighting, they have a counter in this game, but it's more of a dodge. It's not like the Batman counter where it's just like, oh, you block a dude and hit him every time you glow. It's like you dodge out of the way, and then you can personally follow up with an attack. And this game can be pretty unforgiving in its combat. If you get hit a few times, Spidey's kind of a glass cannon for some odd reason, and if you get these hits, like your health bar will skyrocket down. Like it's insane. Some people are having some problems with the difficulty. I was talking to, and they're like, it's kind of hard. Like even with the first boss fight, which is like Kingpin, I went down a few times. I was like, holy crap, the game was just like, Wilson was hitting me freaking hard. I'm like, whoa. And that's something to be aware of. But there's so many little tricks and gadgets you get. One of my favorite has to be this, like, it's like a, what do they call it? Like a sling trap or something. But you can either throw it on an enemy or throw it on a wall. And if you throw it on a wall, it'll shoot out like a blue laser. Someone crosses it, shoots on a web, grabs them, pulls them next to it, and just webs them up. If you shoot on an enemy, the same thing can happen to a wall. Or two enemies can hit each other, and then they fall on the ground and get webbed up. And if you knock enemies down, you can shoot them with a bunch of web shooters, web them to the ground like that. You have like web bombs, all these little web gadgets, which is so much fun because you're in the middle of combat. You're like dodging stuff. You're flying through the air. You're pulling yourself like across the map to hit dudes in the face. You're countering them. You're doing these special finishers. You're shooting off all these gadgets. It feels like an evolution of what Arkham wants to be. And it's so much faster. Like it feels so fast. And you do have to kind of like slow down time and go to like a pause menu to like pick new gadgets. So unless I didn't do that correctly, but I just really enjoyed it after a while, because when you're in the mode, like the Spidey mode, and eventually you get this upgrade where like if you dodge perfectly, you slow down time for a minute, you feel like unstoppable. Like a whole fight can change. Like you build up your focus, you can use that to either finish off a guy or heal yourself. And you start doing that, and like you're like, oh my gosh, I have no health, and then you start to like get these combos off, and your focus meter builds up. You use that to turn to health, and you start dodging all these things. You're like, wow, I came back from this fight. Like I did it, which is really gratifying. The suits, I know you want to talk about this a little bit, and I don't want to spoil too much for anybody, but I will say this, a little bit of a spoiler, but there's no classic black suit Spider-Man. They do have one though that you can get from the side quest for Black Cat that makes you look kind of like you're from Batman Beyond, which is one that I wore a lot because I got it and I was like, I'm a black suited Spider-Man with red eyes, and I looked terrifying. It looked really, you even have little claws. You got like little claws too. I was using the Noir suit a lot because it was just like all black with the goggles. He even has like a gun equipped to him, like a pistol. So I was like, Spidey, get the gun out. Only major complaint I'd say with the game is the main villain that they talk about a lot, especially in the marketing. Pretty bland, pretty boring. I kind of wish they'd focus on the other ones.
Who's the main villain? Can you say?
Yeah, well, he's Mr. Negative. He's that Martin Lee guy you see in all the. He's all like white and black and looks all crazy. Shoots like energy beams.
Mr. Negative.
Yeah, it's kind of dumb. And I think they used him and burned him because they were like, if we're gonna do this and do it well, why would you want to burn one of your best villains, right? Like, you don't, like, out of the gate. It's kind of like with Man of Steel. They're like, all right, we're going to use Zod, which I think is a good villain, but it's not like they made Lex Luthor the main villain for Man of Steel. They want to be like, oh, we'll build to the better villains. And they do have other villains in this game. I don't want to, tell people that there aren't. But those other villains are people I'd rather focus on a little bit more. And you do get some time with some of them, which is great. And they definitely have hints to the future that got me really excited. Because people, if you've watched the show before, you know which villains I'd be the most excited about. And I was like, like there's a bunch of hints toward it. I was like, but unlike God of War.
So Green Goblin, #1.
Unlike God of War, which teases
Venom better be one of them.
Which teases you the whole time about a fight that never happens. Spoiler alert. This game, they have kind of teases to the future, but when I'm done with it, I'm not like, man, I kind of wish there was more. There was plenty in this game. And there was also a fight with one of these guys that was very reminiscent of Ghost Rider. And I was like, holy cafoley. Are they trying to say they want to do Ghost Rider in this? Because it was so similar at one point. I was like, they wanted to do Ghost Rider, and they didn't do it. I was like, I wonder if one of the devs, because they're talking about this, this whole like history of Insomniac after they had done Sunset Overdrive and getting approached and talking about doing a Marvel game. And Marvel's like, hey, here are all the characters. Who do you want to pick? And I wonder if Ghost Rider was one of the characters that they had considered for a time. And they're like, we can do a Ghost Rider game. Oh, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Anyway, it just makes me excited. And there's a lot of tie-ins and a lot of nods to a lot of even Avengers stuff, Doctor Strange stuff, even a Wakandan embassy in New York. There's some things in this game that make it seem like there's a hopeful chance that we'll have like an interconnected video game universe, which is just as exciting to me as any movie universe, because it's like, oh my god, if they made a Black Panther game and made a Doctor Strange game and made like when they're finally going to finish this Avengers game, I just want Insomniac to make them all, because they just really did a hell of a job. They really did a really, really good job. But boys, hit me up with some questions. I feel like I've just been chatting. Do you guys have anything you want to know?
What's so special about the alternate suits?
Great question, Joe. Besides the look, they also come, some of them come with special abilities too, which you can take off and you can put onto any suit. So for instance, the noir suit that you get pretty early on, you can use your activate, which you click in on both the sticks, and it will make it so that no one can call in reinforcements. And that is just like the special ability of that suit. But then you can take that ability, put it on that classic or that newer Spider-Man look that they made just for this game. But that's usually what it does. And some of them have no powers, and you just look sick. You just look really cool. And you're like, okay. But most of them do. A lot of them do.
Well, a lot of them. There's the main one, then there's 3 others.
Oh, no. As far as suits go, there are... Is it like 15 or 18 or...
Seriously.
There's a lot of them. They picked a lot of weird ones, though. There are some in there that I thought, okay. One of the cooler ones, I thought anyway, was that they have one that looks just like the Iron Spider from Infinity War. It looks just like that one. So if you wanted to play through that game looking like Tom Holland in that game, you can look like that spider. And you can get
the arms and stuff?
You can get the arms, and you can put the arms on other costumes, which I don't think I've tried, because I was like, I don't want the noir suit with like the 4 arms, because you pop out the arms and they're always on you, and you just have them around you, and when you attack, it's like your attack animation. So you like, if you would punch like this, he would have like 3 feet on his end doing this too that are further out, so you basically can attack like a ton of people at a time. You're like, and it's cool. They kind of go around you while you're swinging, so it's almost like a little cage. But it's pretty cool. It's like that's pretty cool. Levi, got a question for me?
Cameos. Any cameos?
Like from Marvel at large?
Yeah.
None. No, nothing that like you'd be like, oh my god, I don't want that to be like.
Why?
I don't want that to be the spoiler.
Yeah. Oh, is it a spoiler? Because
no, I was gonna say it's almost maybe like a spoiler that I'm saying that there isn't one. It just seems like right now, and this would be the Insomniac answer, they want to focus on the characters in the Spider-Man universe and just do that.
I want Doctor Strange to like run out and fly around him.
Well, yeah, you do take a picture of that place, of the Sanctum Sanctorum, and he does say, I always feel like there's something strange going on in there. There's a lot of hints to the Netflix stuff, which I don't know if this is considered a spoiler. I'm sorry if you love Netflix stuff and this will drive you nuts, but you can see like Rand Corporation, or you can see Alias Investigations. Like you can take pictures of those spots, and it's like, oh, cool. Like, you don't run into Jessica going around like snooping on people, but maybe one day you could. Like, that would be really sweet.
Who voice acts I can't talk. Who voice acts Spider-Man?
His name is Yuri Lowenthal, I believe, and he's the voice of, most prominently to me, Sasuke Uchiha from the American version of Naruto.
Oh, wow.
He does a very good job, and it's really cool. I watched this thing where they had him record almost all the lines, both just regular and exerted, because there's a lot of time on the phone, and he's like swinging around, so he could just be like talking, like normal, just for one take, and then they do an exerted one, because if you're swinging around, they use that take instead in the game, which is like just a little thing. It's like, what? Like, it's like, it's crazy. Another thing I loved, I forgot to mention this too, is that J. Jonah Jameson he's left the Daily Bugle and he's on his own talk show now, and that pops in every once in a while. So after you do like a side activity or if you do a main story beat, he might pop on, and you can turn this off if you want to, but it's basically like a podcast where he's just kind of lambasting you, and he's just kind of just, Spider-Man did this, and maybe Spider-Man's hacking into our information to spy on us, and like all this stuff all the time. And it's pretty funny just to hear him just constantly just like berating you. And then he'll have people on the show, and he'll be like, oh, I heard Spider-Man almost killed you. And they're like, no, that's not it at all. Spider-Man just like saved my life. And he's like, well, he was there, so he had to be part of the crime. Like, no, he totally stopped the crime. Like, like that stuff happens a lot. So did they keep anything from like Homecoming? Like, is Marissa Tomei like she Aunt May is? No, nope. It's a completely different thing. It is Spider-Man. It's like he's 23. He's had his powers for like 8 years. There's a history here, but it has nothing to do with Homecoming.
And you just jump right into it, or is there a little bit of an origin?
You jump right in, and that's the whole kind of point. Is like you collect these backpacks throughout the game. It's one of the collectibles, which they do have a lot in this game, but they're pretty fun. And there's not so many where it turns you off to it. But you collect these backpacks that he stashed when he was younger, and you get these little bits and pieces. It'll be like, oh, you find like a ticket stub from something, or you find like a little piece of a like shocker mesh from his old suit, and he talks about that for a second. Like Peter's like, oh yeah, I remember fighting him like way long ago. So there's a history there, but he is an established Spider-Man.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah. But the other main characters, so like Aunt May's in this game, MJ, who's in this as well, and Miles Morales, which people probably saw it from the trailers, is that he is in this game as well. So yeah.
Graphics
looks really good. Faces look slightly weird to me because they use like the LA Noire face mapping thing. I don't know, but the rest of the graphics, I mean, they do these still shots for the loading screens, which they do have some loading screens in this game, but it's so cool because whatever suit you're wearing, that's the loading screen you get. So like there's like 3 or 4 different poses that Spider-Man does for the loading screens, but it will always change depending on your suit. And it's just so cool to look at these suits like just slow-mo going across your screen. And you're just like, holy crap. Like you just like look at the design and you're like, oh, looks so good.
I kind of want to pick up a PS4. Yeah.
It's good, man. The attention to detail is insane. I saw that friend of the show, John Vignacchi, was showing a picture of there's some Nerf darts on a whiteboard, and they were showing the shadow of the darts, and they also showed like eraser marks from like racing on the whiteboard too. And I was like, yeah, I think on the PS4 Pro it'd be even better than it looks right now. But yeah, it's really fun, and the photo mode's fun. I was screwing around with that today because you can do like a selfie mode, do like peace signs or like I love yous as you're jumping past stuff, and just you stop time basically, and you can kind of like Spidey's doing like a selfie. He's like, yeah. So yeah, a lot to do in the game, but it goes by quickly because I just got enraptured with it. I was just like, it hasn't happened for a while, guys, where I play a game and it was so hard to stop. Like Levi and I went to Leo's wedding this past weekend, and I was like, I'm just going to play a quick hour of this before I go. And it was like, I was trying to shave every minute I could off to get more time in. I was just like, I could just do one quick more thing. I'm just going to do one more quick fight thing and just go over here, do this thing. I was just like, it's just so much fun because like the gameplay is just fun. It is just fun to play. It is fun to be good at. And it is also fun to learn from it and just kind of just feel like Spider-Man. Like you just feel like him. And you're just like, man, feels good. Like feels really good. Yeah, I'm just excited for the future. I just want Insomniac to start working on 2. They're doing DLC, which their first one's coming out in October, which kind of sucks. But I just wish they would just be like, nope, we're just doing full new game. Just start working on the game.
Yeah, which I'm sure they will.
Yeah, I'm for sure. I think for sure they will. Especially, I think it's going to blow sales out of the water. I think it came down to this and God of War this year for like the Sony exclusives, and I'm really hoping Spidey just brings the pain. Joe, do you have any thoughts or feelings on this game?
I think it's sexy. Too bad it's only on PS4.
Yeah, I saw another tweet from someone saying that like Xbox owners just showing like Lego Marvel superheroes and showing Spider-Man in that game, and they're like, that's what Xbox players are doing today. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
You're like, it's not the same.
There are meme videos of guys like, why do I own this? And they're like yelling at it, and they're pointing at their Xbox like, what good are you? I can't even play Spider-Man on here.
It saddens me because I wish everybody could play it, and I'm sure Insomniac is in the same boat where they're like, we wish everyone could play it because they had Sunset Overdrive that was an Xbox exclusive, and it's like Insomniac just, it's so good, and I feel bad because I want you guys to experience this, and I hope that the superhero games that are coming out of all the Marvel stuff are this caliber for all platforms. Like, I really hope that, because there's always the potential in any of these superhero games to have a co-op and to have cross-play. And just think of how cool it would be if, like, another Spider-Man game comes out and it's on multiple platforms, and it's like, you know what? I've got it on PlayStation, my buddy's got it on Xbox, or vice versa, and we can play it together. Like, come on, guys. So Xbox, I don't know what you have to do. I don't know what superhero license you want to get. Like Green Arrow, maybe we talked about, fits with the green theme if you're still doing that. But just get something, or I don't know. I just don't know. Like, is the Avengers game going to be this quality? That's my fear now. Is like Spider-Man just like raises the bar, and you're like, it's going to be a very different game. But yeah, Spider-Man, I think it's excellent, and I think everyone should play it. If you're not playing it already and you have a PlayStation 4, what are you waiting for? Seriously, just go play it. It's very fun.
I watched gameplay of it, and I thought it was absolutely amazing. I won't lie.
Yeah, I think, Joe, you would really fall in love with just the movements, because you just kind of see it, and the way that he kind of kips up after jumping on, well, not kips up, but flies off after a swing if you hit X. And they do this thing that kind of reminds me of the beginning of Amazing Spider-Man 2, where he just kind of does that. I think it's that one where he kind of jumps up and he's kind of like flying, like he kind of puts his hands back. He does that a lot in this game, and it looks so cool. You get like the sunset in the background, and you're like, this is so pretty. Like, you're just like,
I like the acrobatics of it and everything. And believe it or not, a little nostalgic for me. First console I ever owned, I went half season it allowance wise with my sister, and we bought a PS1. PlayStation 1 with a Spider-Man game, whatever it was at that time. And I remember, it was formulaic campaign, one path, follow the line type of thing, but it was fun. It really was.
Is that Enter Electro? I was looking that up. Maybe that was, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, no, and it's crazy to think of, like, if that's the last Spider-Man game you played, even Spider-Man 2, you play like this and you're like, oh my God, like we just jumped so high.
Yeah, the swinging looks insane. Like, it always looks like he's gonna drag his knees on the ground,
Yep.
But
they don't. They're very nice about that. They're like, it's okay, it's fine. Also, like, if you go through like a fire escape, you'll just go through it. Or if you're trying to run up a building that is on like the fire escape side, he'll just jump and use his webs to climb up it like really fast, and it's just like really cool and intuitive. However, they got rid of my favorite thing from Spider-Man 2, which is called the tally ho. It's where you get on a fire escape and you go to the railing and you put one hand down and you just jump over it, and then you yell out tally ho. They got rid of that because
what's it like inside the buildings? How many are rendered? Like,
so you can't really go into buildings unless it's like a campaign thing, which does kind of suck. But then again, Spider-Man is not just like walking into places. It's not completely forgivable, but I will say this though: they have stealth missions. Excuse me. For some of the characters, like MJ, she's kind of like an investigative reporter. She's basically like Lois Lane in this. But you sneak around and you go in these really cool, wonderful spaces, especially one of the last places you go into. I was looking around in there and I was like, I could stand in here and just look around for a while because it's so well done. But you have a lot of like, oh, you make a noise over here to distract a guard, and then you kind of run over here. But it's very forgiving stealth gameplay, and you're not like stuck doing this all the time. So that's usually the only time you're in buildings. The main one you're ever in is called Feast, which is like this homeless shelter that Peter has like campaign missions through, and it's like this big area where you can like talk to other people and talk to Aunt May and Miles and stuff. But yeah, so you're not really in buildings too often.
You can't just like land on the ground and just walk in somewhere.
Yeah, but then you proc the thing and then it loads and then you go into the mission. So
what's the full name of this game?
This is called, oh gosh, is it Marvel's Spider-Man or just Spider-Man PS4?
It's not Edge of Time or Edge of Tomorrow or something?
No, that Web of Shadows. Is that what it was? Or they had a Time one too. I forget what that's called.
They have a Web of Shadows.
Web of Shadows.
I just randomly saw something that Laura Vandervoort, who played Supergirl on Smallville and the Blue Lady in Supergirl, and she was the voice of MJ in one of the Spider-Man games, apparently. Thought that was kind of interesting. Small world.
Yeah, it's also weird because in this game, at the beginning, and throughout, I don't know. They have a weird relationship. Peter and MJ's relationship, I don't really feel the chemistry there. It's weird. They have like a complicated history, and that's kind of one of the biggest mysteries in the game. It's like, why? What's with these two? yeah, I don't know how I feel about it, but yeah. Also, last thing I want to mention, Yuri Watanabe is the police chief, and he has this really great relationship with her, where he's always talking to her about, like, trying to clean up the streets and what she needs help with and how she can help him. And one of my favorite things in this game is he keeps doing this like Christian Bale thing where he calls himself Spider Cop, and he's like, Spider Cop is witnessing the city, and she's like, please stop calling yourself Spider Cop. And he's like, Spider Cop doesn't listen to rules and stuff like that. And like, he'll be like, you can take my gun and you can take my badge, but you can't take my honor, stuff, crap like that. And it's super duper good, and you can feel this relationship that they've had where she's like, she works with him, but she can't tell people that she does because she's the police chief. It's very Jim Gordon and Batman, which I just really adore. Yeah. Oh, super last thing. When you're fighting shielded enemies, instead of jumping over them, you slide underneath, and it feels so good. Like in Batman, you have to kind of like jump up and over. Like he'll just slide under somebody and then just hit him from the back. Oh God, it feels so good. It's like, woohoo, see you, buddy. I'm pretty sure he's killing people though. I mean, I've webbed a few guys off buildings, and if you watch them fall, it's like the game knows and it shoots a string back, like a web back to the building so they don't fall. I swear I've webbed men like up, and they're like this. They got their arms crossed and they go face first off like a 30-story building. I don't care who you are, man. You're dead. Like, right? Like I was knocking dudes off the side of buildings. I'm like, I'm nearly positive I'm killing these guys. And it was like some missions were like, hey, for bonus points, you could knock like 5 guys off a building. And I was like, the game wants me to kill people. Yeah, it was really funny to me. Also, man, I'm sorry, I gotta stop doing these alsos. The acting is really good for the most part, especially from the other characters, especially from there's some villains and some other friends of Spider-Man, which I was just so enraptured with. I was like, oh my gosh, like I could just watch a whole game about you. And it really gave me old Sam Raimi vibes some of the time. Like some of the environments, some of the actors, I was like, oh God, I'm like watching. It felt like that world, that Spider-Man world. And I was like, feels good. Feels good. Boys, any other questions before we kind of wrap it up here?
Not on my end.
No. I mean, I just can't wait to get my hands on it. So
sure. Cool. Well, thank you guys for listening to me just yammer on about Spider-Man for a little bit. And like I've told everybody, a review in progress and a full review will be out soon, hopefully. And I apologize. So many games, and it doesn't help when you're a little under the weather. It's hard to record things like a podcast. Anyway, I wanted to take just a few minutes before we wrap up the show here today to talk about games. Why we love games, because it's National Video Game Day. You just heard why I love games, or like why I love these two specific games. I wanted to ask you two, what is it about games that you love? What is it that brings you back to them? What excites you? Joe, what was it about games, man, that really hits you?
The relaxation and social aspect of it. I always preach this, and it's probably old hat and people are sick of it by now, but I'm all about that. Grab a cool beverage, plop down, sit back, relax, and hop into some sort of multiplayer and just chill with your bros, that's cathartic for me. It helps me relax after a long week or a long day, and I like that. I think video games are one of the things that have like kept us together,
For sure.
Without that, but we talk as often as we do. Well, probably, but I don't think we would have gotten to this point without the video games. So, same thing with my buddy Drew, our buddy Drew. You met him through video games.
I was gonna say, yeah, I did. Yeah.
I rekindled the friendship through video games. One day you just, hit me up on Xbox like, yo, bro, how's it been going? Next thing you know, we're playing games like every other day. And I'm like,
I was nervous at first. I was like, who's this guy? Because like, I'm one of those guys that like, if you bring in an outside party, I'm like, who are you? Like with games specifically, I'm like, who's this Yahoo? And Drew, I love Drew because he has this nice mix of like, it's kind of fun, but it's also kind of serious. Like if he wants to throw down, and he can be very good at games. And I say that with the utmost respect, in that I've watched him as the berserker in For Honor wreck people, and I'm like, what are you even doing? Like, he just commits to a game, and you're like, and it's just like, well, I'm happy that guy's on my team.
We're like Genji in Overwatch. It's like his main Reinhardt. I mean, it's always
so good.
Yeah, he's he's competitive about it. I know that. He gets upset when things don't go his way. He might not be the most vocal about it, but
he's very quiet. And I'm like, Drew.
Yeah, like he hones in, and when he's quiet, he's probably doing his job. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just I owe a lot to video games in that respect. Heck, my fiance even likes playing like Battlefield. She enjoys that, and she gets to know you guys better through video games, and it just people don't always think of video games in that nature, but it is a social thing. It's not just about the game or playing. It's not childish at all. I think sometimes it gets dropped into that basket when it's not, and it's more about friendship and hanging out, and a common interest and something to relax and have fun with. So that doesn't cost you an arm and a leg, and you don't have to put a hell of a lot of effort into. It's easy and fun, and that's what I enjoy about it. Not to mention, it's a bit of an escape. Not big on role playing games myself, but I had an alone weekend 2 weekends ago. Haley was out and about at a wedding she was working at, and then I think you and Drew were out doing something. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get a game that I can like watch a movie, but I'm playing the game. And so I tried The Witcher, and so stuff like that. I can really appreciate that about video games. So I see myself doing it all my life just because it's something fun to relax to, and I don't care if people look at me and I'm 40 and I'm playing video games. Whatever, man. I'm having fun. Sucks to be you.
Yeah.
So whatever. But
good mentality.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. Levi, how about you, man? Like, I'm sure some of these things we're gonna have overlap with. When Joe said escapism, I'm the same thing.
Well, I agree with the social aspect Joe talked about. Just because Joe, we wouldn't know each other either as well without video games.
Not really. Not really.
So I mean, that brought us together too, and it's it's a really cool social platform. Video games. I mean, to me. And I'm thinking of World of Warcraft specifically because I put so many hours of my life into that game. Months, actually. Maybe even a year, tallied it all up. I just love a game you can get lost in. I just love that feeling of just getting immersed. That's the best feeling. If a game does not immerse me, it's trash. So if I try a game and it doesn't really suck me in, I'll just be like, Jimmy, I can't. I didn't do it. And he knows. He knows by now, like, when I'm hooked and when I'm not. Monster Hunter was insane. Probably Game of the Year 2018. It might be. It really might be. I don't know.
We'll have to talk about it. If we're voting on this. I was thinking about that too. Is like the problem is you guys might not play like God of War and Spider-Man, but like if that's just how the vote comes down, you know what? I'm fine with that because like that would be great. I'd be like
one hell of a game.
Yeah, hell of a game.
The year's not over.
Yeah, we got all Red Dead waiting with a 6-shooter. Like,
that's true. If we ever make it back from Disney.
Yeah.
Video games, and I mean, constantly changing, constantly evolving. Sometimes not for the best, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think you guys. I kind of echo everything you guys have said right there, but the thing that really excites me about this specific medium is that the way you consume it is so fascinating because like Joe, like you said, you kind of can just sit down and you can play it with your friends or you can play it by yourself. It's like watching a movie sometimes when you're playing the movie. And when I was younger, watching these movies, it's kind of like, man, I wish I could control that. I wish I could be that person. And that is what a lot of these, especially like single player games, that's what they usually give me, like Assassin's Creed or Spider-Man, things like that. I get to be this person without consequence. Like you get to go and you can be crazy in Grand Theft Auto and do whatever you want with no consequence. And you get to kind of live out in a very, 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 very small way that kind of stupid, crazy, like dream fantasy that you can,
That's why we watch movies. Video games kind of bring it to your fingertips and you make the decisions. So it makes you feel like you're that person, which is why we are infatuated with like superhero characters or monster hunters, etc. I know what you're trying to say.
Well, and it also allows you to like bring out like the darker pieces of yourself in like in a way that isn't going to hurt anybody.
I know what you're talking about.
But like dark and gritty, grim games like Last of Us, where they kind of give you some decisions, but like when you're like beating people to death or like you have to make a choice in that game at the end, I didn't hesitate to do what I had to do for that character because I was like, yep, I'm gonna do this, and I have no remorse. Like it felt so good to just like not care about these other people and just really get invested in the characters you want to get invested in. Or Life is Strange is the same way, where you fall in love with these characters, you care about them, and they're voiced by real people, they're crafted by real people, but they're still just character in a game. But then they say, hey, do you want to save this character, or do you want to save all these other people you've never heard of before? And it's like, okay, in the real world that might be a harder choice, but in this game I'm like, no, I'm picking my friend. Or like the dog in Fable 2, dog took a bullet for me, I'm saving the dog every time. Let all those other people die. I was like, let them die. But yeah, getting just immersed in that world and just being excited for what can come next. Because I feel like so many times in this industry, a lot of people are looking back, and a lot of people, that's a good thing, preserving these games and showing where we came from. So many people are so excited about the remasters and the remakes of these games, which the remakes are a little more, crazy because it's like fully making a new game of that same one. But I'm looking forward. I see the horizon, and it's always just out of reach, but it's always in sight. That's the coolest thing about games, because you see it and you're like, man, Anthem looks great, and maybe it will be, maybe it'll suck, like that's the thing. It's like, we don't know. And it's like, and there's always just like someone doing something insane. They're like, yep, we're making this crazy new thing. Here's like 5 minutes of it. It'll be out like 2 years. Like Cyberpunk. They're like, here's Cyberpunk, but it's going to be a while. And you're like,
Halo Infinite.
Yeah,
is it going to be good? Is it going to be trash?
Yeah.
And like a movie trailer, you get that trailer and you get a good feeling of what that movie's going to be. When you get like a CG trailer or even an actual game trailer of like gameplay, you're still thinking like, what could it be? That's the thing that's so addicting. And sometimes it's exactly what you think it is, and sometimes it's not. But then, because these games are so dependent on consumer feedback, and they live and die by their consumers, they have to adapt. They have to overcome. They have to change to what people want. Because it's like, hey, a ton of people bought Ghost Recon Wildlands, but they added a bunch of DLC and they made the game even better. And then when they make another one, hopefully it'll be even better. That's the cool thing. They can hopefully progress. Whereas like movies, like you look at Jurassic Park and you're like, for me, it's hard to beat that. And they haven't beat it by adding more dinosaurs. It's like, that's not how movies work. But in games, it's like, hey, what if we gave you another island with more dinosaurs? You'd be like, hell yeah, let's go. Like, you'd be like, cool, let's do it. Like, that is what's so exciting to me. And it's been something that's been a part of my life for almost as long as I can remember, going back to like Pokemon Red and Blue, just being like, oh yeah, this, like, and to see where it's even come since the mid to early 90s, like jumping up to where it is today. Like, oh my God, like if you could tell little Jimmy that they're going to be a Spider-Man game like this that you can play at home, you'd have been like, you gotta be kidding me. You'd be like, wait, what? It looks kind of like real life. I'd be like, dude, it looks very good. It feels very good. Yeah, but games, I just love them. Is there anything else you boys want to say on this before we kind of wrap up the show here today?
No.
Did I cover
games rule?
Yeah, well, yes, games do rule. I guess one question, I think we've talked about this, Joe, before, but Levi, are games your favorite media, or is it music, movies? Which is there one?
Oh man,
I know it's hard to pick, and if you can't pick, that's totally fine. I'm not going to be like, just whatever.
If I had to pick, music would be a tad bit more than video games.
Nice thing is that you can play music while you're playing a video game, so it's like the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Maybe you can just put whatever you want on. Joe, how about you? Are you still like would you say music or movies beats out games for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm through and through a movie guy. I love movies. I like going. I don't know. Recently it's been games for me. We've been pretty spoiled over the past few years with great games that have enhanced my life. Wow, that sounded weird.
That's beautiful. No, it's beautiful. I love it. It's true. It has, and it's enhanced.
I'm gonna interrupt. No, I mean they've enhanced my life in a way that I've had a lot of fun and a lot of hours committed to playing them because of that fun. And all of those hours, very few were not, but most all of those hours were spent with like you, Drew, Levi, Monster Hunter. I mean, We've Overwatch. Oh my god, I still go back to play Overwatch. 3 years now, almost. I mean,
yeah, 2.5. Yeah,
2.5. Yeah. So, yeah. And we've got more coming. I mean, Rockstar coming out with Red Dead. I've got. I'm liking the looks of the new Call of Duty. And not to spin down a rabbit hole, but just trying to put a cherry on top of why and what I'm looking forward to and why recently games have been it for me. But Rockstar coming out with Red Dead is going to be great. The new Call of Duty looks really good. Like this whole Fortnite craze, like I dabbled in Fortnite for one match and I was like, yeah, okay, I don't get it. And so I haven't touched it since. But I understand why people can like it. I just don't really appreciate the style of it. It's kind of whatever. This Call of Duty one looks like insanity.
Yeah.
and not only that, but they've triggered my nostalgia with the old Black Ops 1 maps. And I'm like, oh god, firing range, Nuketown. I mean, I'm just I'm kind of like, if I'm gonna get into a battle royale game, that's the one. And then we won't see it until just over the hill at next year, but Anthem, dude, I think that's the future of gaming. I mean, kind of Destiny-esque, but done in different styles. And maybe, right. Yeah, I wonder if Anthem will be what says, yeah, Destiny, we're gonna snuff your flame out. This is how it should be done. I'm just really excited for that. It's almost like Titanfall and Destiny morphed together and created a great child. So just so much to look forward to. We've been spoiled in the recent years, and I think games has to be my number one for the media I like to consume as of late. But movies are always in there. I mean, those three, geez, Pete, man, like I say, mix music together with game. I can't choose just one. Come on.
That's the cool thing about music, though. It just basically, for the most part, seems to enhance all these things, like especially in games. The fact that they've gone like to movie production levels of music, like for Spider-Man, they had like a choir and orchestra and all this stuff. It was like, holy crap! Like seriously, guys, it's like they went all out. They went all out, and I love it.
The thing about music is I like to use that as like motivational type stuff, or like hardcore mode. Like I plug in some good music on a good playlist or radio station and I am in the zone, but all those things, there's ways to appreciate them, and they're all equal in one aspect or another. So
yeah, definitely. Well, and that's the thing, you mentioned it.
What were we talking about again?
Why we love games. See, that's great because you can start talking about why you love it and just keep talking about it forever. But Joe, you said something really well, and a lot of people forget this. We are spoiled. I'd say more so if you are into games at all, video game enthusiast, as I would say. Because the term gamer, do you guys like the term gamer? I've never liked it.
No, it pigeonholes you too much.
I'm just saying, listen to this. If you go watch movies, the verb would be to watch or watch. Am I a watcher? No, it sounds weird. You're like a movie buff, or you like movies.
Call us the Watchmen.
I feel like gamer is just like this kind of like term that they threw on people to be like, oh, he's a gamer. Like it's kind of like a negative connotation.
It seems that way. It's almost like the nicer way of calling you a nerd.
Yeah, and my mom, she plays Candy Crush, so technically she's a gamer. So what does that say? I'm just saying, like, it shouldn't be like, oh, there's only one type of gamer. It's like everybody, it's like music or movies. There's a game out there for everybody. You just gotta be willing to try. There's more upfront costs, obviously, but
I play a snoot ton of freaking board games, man.
Dude, that's
what you call me.
Yeah, dude, and board games can be fun. Sometimes they can be that'll test a friendship. Play Settlers of Catan with your best friends. It's like playing Mario Party, and you're all just like, I hate you, and you're like, would you trade for lumber? And you're like, no, and it's like, yeah, it's out of hand quickly. But yeah, we are spoiled. We're so spoiled for games. There's so many good games, regardless of what console you have right now, because so many great ones are cross-platform. Yeah, it sucks. God of War and Spider-Man and stuff like that aren't on Xbox, but there's still some really wonderful games, even like in Switch and stuff, all that stuff. There's so many cool games. If you love a specific genre or type of game, there's probably 3 or 4 amazing games in that genre right now. It's so cool. That's great. But we want to know why you love games. Let us know in the comments. Please tweet at us and just say, like, what is it about games that you really love? Because that's what we want to hear about. Now it's time to get into that time of the show that I like to call, that Joe likes to call, that Lee likes to call, we all like to call
Time killer.
I was waiting. I was like, who's gonna do it? Who's gonna do it?
You gotta figure out a way to like who's gonna say it this time. You just leave it up to choice and chance, and we just.
I like it because I like to force you guys to make a call, and it's really fun.
I felt
It's like
like
the
that
leader
was-
to do that.
All I see is
Like,
Levi just.
Yeah.
Points.
I felt like that was the scene in The Office where they have like their guns and they're all like, "I'm going down for this."
I would love to, like, when we have another guest on with you guys, is to like prep the guest and say, like, when I say it's time to say time killers and point at you, you say it. Like, I would really love for, and then they'd be like, I forgot to do it. Anyway, while Joe steps away for a second, Levi, tell us what you've been killing time with, buddy. What are the movies you've been watching, games you've been playing?
I'm still watching My Hero Academia. That show's freaking amazing still. Playing some Dark Souls Remastered. Not a lot of time for much else right now, honestly. It's kind of where
Cool.
I'm at.
I noticed that you're only a few more episodes into My Hero. What do I need to do to get you in more?
Oh, I only watch it on like Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I'm pacing myself. I don't want to burn myself on it like I did with Attack on Titan.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I burned through that series. I
Yeah.
love that show so freaking much. Oh God. I love anime. Ooh my gosh, I love anime. We didn't even talk about TV, which technically anime.
Because I loved Attack on Titan the first season. Thought it was really interesting and really cool,
Really
really dark. But
scary. Yeah.
I don't want to pick it up because I keep hearing weird things.
Yeah, season 2 wasn't great. I'll see verdict's out on season 3. I haven't seen it yet, but
Is it out?
cool. It's just coming out, or I think it's just out. I don't know if all of it's out. Some of it's out. I don't know. Anyway, Joe, what have you been killing time with, pal?
Battlefield 5, hot and heavy.
Battlefield 5. Well, it's just the old beta.
World War II beta. Drew and I got in right away, started Thursday night, played a little bit of it. Friday night we played till the wee hours of the morn, and then Saturday did the same, and Sunday played almost all day while watching football. It was a good weekend. Jimmy, I know you hopped in with us on Monday night for a few matches, and
only like 2 or 3.
The game is good. It's, I think, with a little bit of refinement, and once you get the plethora of stuff that comes with Battlefield, you know there's going to be a long list, exhausting list of weaponry. The customization's always been good. If it's anything like the Battlefield 1, World War I game, this is going to be a great game. I love the maps, the way they're designed, the ammo drops, all that sort of stuff. The kills, the score streaks that you can pull in, that's awesome. I didn't realize how to use that until like the last day. Shame on me. But yeah, I just the accuracy, the realism, it's all there. It's what you expect from Battlefield, coming from Battlefield 1. I think this one's a little better. I really do. I think it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I can't wait to like get more weapons, play more maps, because this was just on a 2-map rotation, which thank God there were at least 2 maps. Like if it was just the same map over and over, it would have been first night. Okay, I get the gist. I'm done.
That was like Battlefield 1 did just the desert map.
I think so. But they were smart this time, 2 maps. I think it was great. And both of them were, kind of very different. And I really enjoyed them. I like the destructible environments and everything, which is a Battlefield gig. And yeah, it oozes what you want from a first-person shooter. If you're going for the realism, it's not like Call of Duty. It is very different. And Conquest is my match of game style of choice. So I just like the vastness of it, the amount of people that are in it. It really feels like war. So I really appreciate it. So yeah, definitely buying that when that comes out. It's going to be an expensive fall for me.
Yeah.
Wedding, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Red Dead, Anthem. What else is coming there? There's something else in there, I'm pretty sure.
For you, I think for
Venom.
you, what you worried about.
Jeez, oh, Pete.
Venom,
I have to see that 5 times.
To support Tom Hardy.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what I spent most of my time doing over the weekend, along with Madden. I've really taken a liking towards playing that. It's kind of one of those palate cleanser kind of games or kill time, and it's fun. It is. I can't remember if I talked about last time on the podcast how bad it is playing online against people.
You did. You're like, don't talk to these guys.
Oh my God, they're just they're pricks.
Yeah.
They're freaking assholes. Like, yeah. Like, ugh. That's the thing about the gaming community. For the most part, it's great, right? But every once in a while, you get those just know-it-all people that you're just, I wish I knew your address.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. It's like, oh man, come on, be nice. Huh?
Yeah, that's been about what I've been up to. Oh, and Ozark, singular or plural? I don't know. Either way, that's the Netflix series with Jason Bateman, right?
Oh yeah, do you like it?
Holy man, that is an intense freaking show, man.
Is it like Bloodline vibes?
Only like way crazier.
Oh really?
I mean, it's still very like methodical and like twisty, edge of your seat stuff, but it's like it's intense, really intense. Like if you liked Bloodlines, yeah, you better go watch this and get after it. It is gripping is the word. Gripping is the word, and I really like it. Jason Bateman in this show is excellent. It suits him. Yeah. I think people look at him and what Arrested Development is all you can think of, and more comedy style movies, but he plays this role very well, and it's serious and gripping.
Is this the second season?
Second season. First season was excellent, and I remember the way it ended. I was just like, oh, I need to see the second season. Finally, it's out. Finally, and loving it. So I recommend it to anybody looking for some series that's like really just grabs you.
Cool, nice, man. Thank you. Yeah, I already kind of talked about my Timekillers. Spider-Man mostly. It just like consumed me. DragonQuest XI, and then I did play a little bit of Battlefield with Joe. I will say this: I feel bad playing those types of games because I'm like the guy who's always like preaching communication, and I'm like yelling stuff because like no one else is talking, and I just go for that leader role right away. And I had way more fun when I switched to the medic class, and I was just running around throwing stuff to Joe and healing him and reviving him really quickly and being like, hey man, where are you? I'll just shoot you quick, and then just be like, hey, just kind of walking around. And
something to say about that, Jimmy. So playing all weekend with just me and Drew, two people. Sometimes we would join squads to try and get a full group of 4. Not that we were talking or communicating with them, but when you're running together, it was just the two of us. If we tried to take or hold a point, it was always just slightly out of reach.
Sure.
But we played that city map. That was like our last match that night, and we were holding the White House, like the kind of bank style one with the 2 floors. And point B, with the 3 of us, and it was pretty much constant. We held that thing throughout the entire game against onslaughts of sometimes groups of 4 and 5 and 6, and we had a good gig going. I mean, Jimmy, you were able to resupply and heal us, and Drew and I were able to flank and kill, and I was kind of outreaching a little bit to kind of take people by surprise. And for the most part, it worked. I realized how much more helpful it was to have a third and to actually have a cohesive team where somebody could do something to assist and the others can kind of shoulder a bit of burden and get points for the team. But it really worked well, and I thought our communication was on point. Another good example, besides you being medic, was when we all 3 got a tank off the start. Starting the match, we got a tank. I picked my recon class, so I have a recon scope rangefinder that actually marks people so you guys can see them and they're identified. And I thought that worked perfectly. We just sat on a hillside and you guys lit them up as I marked them on the point, and we just kept wiping them clean. And it was too perfect. And it was a good cohesive unit. So it is. I feel like 3 is that magic number. If you can get a full squad of 4 all talking, I think you're, I don't want to say unstoppable, but very powerful. And I think it makes it more fun. So definitely a game to play with friends.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And, we determine success in different ways, because like at the end of a match, even if you lose, I think you are just kind of happy. You're like, hey, man, look, I had a pretty good score. Whereas I'm like, we lost, and I don't care how well I did. So that's why I'm always like, we got to hold this spot. But like, it's good to have someone who's competent at killing, obviously, as well, because that gets you points. And we came down to the wire a few times, especially that match. It came like very down to the wire as far as like we beat them by just like four respawns or something. It was
I thought it was interesting that 80% of the time that was the case. Like Drew and I always found ourselves like, dude, this is a close match, and at the end we're like running around trying to scrounge those kills to like even it up or take it, and sometimes it would take and sometimes it wouldn't, and it made it intense and fun, and I like that.
Glitch of reviving people though is like you trade guns with them. It was like, hey, I'll help you up, but I'm taking your sniper rifle. It's like,
which I'm sure that's something that they might refine a bit better. Like you walk up to somebody to hit X, and it's like you got to be perfectly kind of looking, like you got to be
load your gun
the right way. Yeah, it's weird. So.
It's weird. But yeah, that tank thing, that is what Battlefield is to me. Like I remember playing Battlefield 4 with you and just going around in a Jeep and just that was fun. That was successful to me because I was like, this is just fun and dumb. And I enjoyed that. But like being up there, you're spotting people. Drew's driving the tank with the big gun, and I've got the machine gun. And this new thing I'm trying to get started, at least just with myself, is when I kill someone in a game, especially multiplayer, is to say bye to them, but to go bah. So like I just kept running people down. I was like bah. And it was like a double count, like bad, like just I was like, they just didn't know what to do. It was so good. There's this one guy who's just like, if you're in that game and you aren't moving, first off, just try going prone sometime. Don't move. People just run over you. They don't even know you're there. But if you're like a tank even and don't move, there's like a guy who just kept running and looking at something in the distance, and we'd shoot him and he'd back up, but it'd still be on the same plane for us. So he was moving like 2D basically. And I was like, I can still see you. And I was like, yeah, it was good.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to tell where the shots are coming from, even from a tank. So
but yeah, that's what we've been killing time with. It's been great. So now it's time to move on to my favorite segment of the show, community feedback and questions. And I asked our dear Legionnaires this week, and a lot of people I think will hopefully be able to comment here after, but why do they love video games? And our buddy W Lucha, so great on Twitter, he says this: video games for me are such a huge part of my life. So many memories with friends and family connect to them. Having experienced the sheer leaps games have made from the NES days has been a wonder to behold, and I can't imagine not having them in my life. So it's like a pillar of his life. It's beautiful. I love it so much. Thank you for sharing that. I love hearing that, and I love hearing like specific stories of how like games have touched people's lives or have brought people together. Like, that stuff to me is like the true social aspect, right? Like if you had to really boil it down. But I do want to hear other people's, because we kind of set that out a little bit late, but I want to hear what the reasons are why they love games so much. Let's pull up the question we have here, or the question that we got this week that we're going to answer, because we're kind of running short on time, as we always do. This is a great one. This is from Lil Red Rider, our friend Anna. She says, #critical podcast. My friend Chelsea always asks this question. Chelsea, I don't know why you asked this. Would you rather eat a live lizard or get bitten by a shark? What's your reason?
Lizard.
Okay, Levi, why did you say you'd eat a live lizard as opposed to get bitten by a shark?
Because if you get bitten by a shark, it's no bueno. You might die.
That's true. Joe, how about you?
I want to get bit by this shark so I could beat the snot out of it.
Why do you? What's wrong? Sharks are horribly hunted because of us humans, man.
Listen, I didn't say I was going to kill it. I just said I was going to take the snot out of it and teach it never to bite me again.
You got to get you a shark punching game where you just
I'm sure they have that on Steam.
I'm sure they do. There's
they
a
got
VR
a goat
game.
simulator. They got
I tried to hug a shark in VR. It didn't work. I was like, oh yeah, it's not there. So Joe, you're taking the bite. Levi's taking the food.
Yeah, well, excuse me, I'm a little tired. Why not the shark? Who's to say what kind of shark it is? We didn't specify. We talking like a megalodon? Wait, they don't exist. We can't do that.
Well, I mean, they might have at one time.
Like a great white, like a 14-footer. And is it biting you like in the kidneys and ripping out the chunk of your abdomen? Or are we talking like it got a hold of my leg and I get to punch it in the eye?
I think for the sake of the question, we have to go somewhere in the middle for both. I think it needs to be like a decent enough size shark where it's not going to like kill you. But
an 8-foot bull shark.
But then, like, what is it? Are you gonna eat a whole iguana live? Like, you're just gonna like, pick it up and be like,
no,
like,
it's Godzilla. You have to eat Godzilla.
oh my god, you wouldn't be able to do that in your lifetime. Even if he tasted great, which I'm sure that he does. I don't know. Like, even eating eating it alive, I just think what Bear Grylls would do, he'd probably try to just get in there, like, snap the neck in his mouth.
Okay, the reason I picked shark is because eating a lizard is just too easy. I would never want to do it, of course, but I mean,
where would you let the shark bite you?
I mean, I would opt for the leg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Levi was just like so in on the lizard. Levi, are you just like?
I just don't want to get bitten by a shark.
Okay.
Sounds horrifying.
It's such a weird like combo question, Chelsea.
Bitten by a shark isn't bad as long as you're not in like water over your head.
All I can think is Into the Blue with Jessica Alba and Paul Walker, and one of their friends get bitten by a shark like on their hamstring, and they die because they like bleed out. It's just like an exploratory bite, but then they die, and it was like I was like, oh, I always think I get bit in the leg. I'd be like, stop biting my leg. Yeah, I guess I'd eat something. I guess I'd eat a lizard.
You guys are sick.
I know, but at least we probably won't die.
That lizard had a family, assholes. A family.
And the shark you're punching in the face doesn't.
He ate his family.
That's what sharks
Cannibal shark.
I mean, well, there's something.
He deserved it. He had to be put down.
Anyway, if you have a thought-provoking question, like if you'd rather eat a lizard, or perhaps you take a bite from a shark, which, by the way, please tweet us and let us know which you would rather have. Because no context, just say eat a lizard.
Or shark bite.
shark bite. Eat a lizard. All you have to do is tweet the hashtag Critical Podcast to any of us. You can tweet our official account, which is @GoCritical. That is with a capital G and a capital C. Or you can tweet at me personally anytime. Send me like a gif of a dog. I'm JimmyGood013. If you want to tweet at Joe, you can tweet at
Lever_627. That's Lever just like Beaver, only with an L.
Or if you'd like to tweet at Levi, you can tweet at
Is Lever just like Beaver? I'm just kidding.
Levi Fletcher like the jeans.
Thank you.
Wow, you guys are just gonna swap one day, and I'm gonna lose.
How do you spell Fletcher though, Levi? How?
It's like it sounds.
Fletcher, yeah. FLETCHER.
Perfect. Tweet. Please tweet us. We love your tweets. They're great. I want to talk about a few things here before we completely wrap up the show today. If you want to support us, consider heading over to our Twitch channel. We're streaming there all the time. Find us over at twitch.tv/critical reviews. Hang out with us. It's going to be fun. I'll probably stream in Spider-Man or Dragon Quest. Even though I've done a Spider-Man, I'll probably still play a bunch of it. And there's a new game plus they announced for it. So I might do that because it's not a very long game. That's just I feel like I got my money's worth, but I still want to keep playing. Yeah. I also want to say we have a Spreadshirt where we're getting shirts. We're getting some merch for the boys, and you can get some merch for yourself. So check us out over on Spreadshirt. We should have a link down below you can find to go support us over there. Thank you, people. I want to thank This Is Dale for our intro and outro music. And I want to thank the one and only Jorn Evers, the guy who does pretty much all the art you see here on the show. It is fantastic. He's actually working on a project right now. I need to double check and make sure and see where he is in the process of this project. But here's the synopsis quick. When David opens a mysterious box that transforms his arm into an alien weapon, he at first uses it for good to right the wrongs of his high school. But as more of his body is transformed, he finds that playing God comes with its own set of new, self-destructive perils. At its core, it's like Venom meets Chronicle, Blue Beetle. That's the kind of feeling you get to it. But if you want to support him and us, all of us at the same time, you want to support the show and actually get the show a day earlier if you're at the $5 tier, go check us out on patreon.com/criticalreviews. That is the best way you can support us. Even $1 helps. If you're donating at $1 and that's the most you can donate, that is totally fine. If you share us around, share our YouTube channel around, like all that stuff, you guys have no idea how much the free stuff affects us. Like retweeting our stuff, just even stopping by as like a morale raiser on a stream or something, all that stuff, it means the world to us. And we appreciate that you guys are hanging out with us here, because you could be hanging out with anybody, but you're choosing to hang out here, and we are humbly grateful for that. So thank you. Thank you so much. Gentlemen, let's wrap it up here. Anything else you have to say? Levi, any other closing remarks on all the games or anything you wanted to say?
DC's trash. Bye.
Perfect. Joe, how about you, man?
You killed those poor lizards.
Okay. This is. I think we're in the show every time like this. Just one sentence in outro for both of you. No context. Just DC's trash. You killed all those lizards. Anyway, yes, thank you so much. Love and hugs to all of you, and just remember to adapt and overcome. We'll see you next week. Bye bye.